biology that's hyperstimulated digests fiber in the soil. So you didn't add anything, but you just burn up a whole bunch of it. So you're actually now, just because you fertilized, you're more compacted. So all our approach is geared towards structuring fiber into the soil, composting in place. As an organic farmer, I shoot all the holy grails of all the conventional forms of doing it. And as a professional organic gardener, I also happen to be a horrible rebel. I rebelled against conventional. Now I rebel against the two holy grails of organic gardeners. Organic gardeners love to cultivate. When I talk to organic gardeners and I mention not cultivation, they just get, you can see the steam. Because, they're so infatuated with cultivation, they do things like French double digging. You know what that is? I dig a trough all the way across my garden and I put that dirt to the side. Then I dig another 6 inches below that and put that on top of it, put it beside it. And then I take the top 6 inches off the right beside it, put it in that bottom, take that bottom out, put it in that top, take this top out, put it in the bottom, take this bottom out, put it in that top, go all the way to the end, get my old top, put it back in there, and put that first bottom back in. I've now done French double digging intensive gardening. They love cultivation.
Or wood chips every 3 years.
Yeah, wood chips every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I like that.
Your choice.
Can you tell them how you do the furrows with how? Because I mean, the wood chips is you're looking at, you're thinking like, how am I going to put a seed in there? Because that's what I thought. I'm going to seeds and wood chips.
Yeah, I got coarse, horrible wood chips. Maybe a bean's coming up, but my lettuce is where'd it go? Yeah. Well, I just developed this just because, I was desperate to do something. So I just made a furrow in my wood chips like my wood chips was the dirt.
Furrow.
Just a trough, just a, V shape through it. Just like I took a hoe and dragged a furrow through the dirt.
If you know how.
Yeah, if I know a hoe.
Yeah.
Now, I used to have an eye hoe. Anybody know what an eye hoe is? Okay, it's got a real wide blade, and it's got a hole in it about that big around. So you've got an axe handle kind of end on into your hoe handle, and they're heavy. If you can pick them up, you don't have to chop with them, you just have to let go of them. They're heavy enough to cut the soil by falling on them. That was my favorite hoe in the days that I hoed. Yeah, but I don't anymore. So anyway, I make a furrow. I make this trough in the mulch. I fill that.
To your bit.
I fill that trough full of any kind of potting medium. Peat moss, perlite, little topsoil. Just peat moss, just topsoil. I don't care. Just something seeds will germinate in. They germinate in that right into the mulch. By this time, the mulch is kind of aged and started to bond. It started to decompose a bit. If I'm lucky, because I've used wood, there's a property about wood soils is that there's a special fungus that naturally spawns in it called mycorrhiza. And you've all seen on the garden shelf that stuff called mike, transplant mike. Then if you go shopping and notice, there's a thing they sell you. It's wonderful for transplant. Well, that's mycorrhiza fungus. It's the same thing. They call it garden mike and rose mike, and it's just mike, folks. They just put a different name on these things. I don't know how many. I probably go to the garden center and line up 20 items, and they'll each one have a different name, and we can read the active ingredients, and they're all exactly the same. They just really know, hey, this is the name of the product that does da 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 da. They don't educate you that way. Instead, they put it in the name. This is rose fertilizer, and this is petunia fertilizer, and this is bulb fertilizer, and the analysis on all of them are almost always identical. Give me a break. It just drives me crazy. So anyway, this mycorrhiza fungus creates a natural symbiotic relationship between the plant and the current occurring humus. And humus is brand new compost. It's, we finally did it. We're at that point that it's what we want, finished compost. And so it creates that relationship and pumps the nutrients right straight out of the compost into the plant. It can find the compost faster than the plant can because fungus' capacity to grow their microphylla, which is their root hairs basically, is enormous compared to a plant's capacity to grow root hairs. The plant will grow more root structure. It'll actually grow fewer root hairs, though, because the fungus is doing that job for it. So it kind of gets to kick back and get all the benefit from the fungus. We don't know what benefit the fungus gets, but obviously it's getting something that's symbiotic in order something in there for the farmers too. So anyway, that's how we garden, and we call, first book I read about this was called Ruth Stoltz No Work Garden Book. You can't get that anymore, it's out of print. She used hay cakes, and that's nice. She doesn't have to worry too much about her carbon nitrogen, though she did use some cottonseed meal. And I think it's just because somebody told her cottonseed meal was nice, or maybe her grandpa used cottonseed meal in his garden. And because she was using hay cakes, it was hay, not straw, where her C/N ratio was already still pretty good to start with. You're into a big carbon bank when you do wood chips. So you really need a bag of feather meal. I sell 50-pound bags. I suggest you get a plastic tote from Walmart. Open the bag up, pour it in it, have a scoop that you can take out to the garden and sprinkle this stuff on. You sprinkle on like it just frosted feathers. And feather meal is that. If I say something meal, it's the something. Feather meal is poultry feathers that are aged and ground. Soybean meal is soybeans after they extract the oil. You got soybean meal. Bone meal we've already talked about, that's bone. Alfalfa meal. This is a fun one. They grow alfalfa, they dehydrate it, they grind it, they pelletize it, and if somebody wants meal, they regrind it. Oh well. Guess we'll have to learn to live with a little bit of binder.
Go grind your rabbit food, right?
Yeah, there you go. So that's what they all are, how they work. So it's an easy way to garden. It will give you soil structure like you've never seen before. It takes a little patience. Your first year probably won't be your best because you're learning how to manage carbon and nitrogen, and you'll miss it a few times. You have to learn that you need to be in the garden every day, and you need to be able to observe growth. But once you pick that knack up and can stay on top of your C/N ratio. And of course the second year your imbalance isn't as bad, so things go a little better. Third year, things should go real good, and you might start seeing a weed or two the third year. So now you got to decide, now do I want to mulch it, or do I want to pull it? And when you reach down and grab a hold of a dandelion and 6 inches of root comes out with just a flick at your wrist, you might decide to weed that whole year. Because it's gratifying payback for all those years that you grabbed a hold of it and struggled and got this much. Because you just got this much. I want to do that again. So, I do find that's true. I mean, my first year I went for like 7. I was down to some really fine stuff, but then, boosh, that spring, the whole thing came up in solid weeds. It's okay, well, weed whip and mulch. And what was nice is weed whip let it fall in place in mulch. Clean it up. I don't clean the debris out of my garden much. My wife gets a little frustrated with me. She'll rake all the vines out of the tomato patch. I'm going, we'll not put it back there again. What the heck, step on them, no big deal to me, But she rakes them up. So I finally have developed what I call my coarse post place. And then where all that heavy stuff gets raked off by my wife, and then I take it and I have a big pile of it. And I figured in about 5 years I'll take what's on top and start a new one and start gardening right there. And it'll be nice. Now think about a compost pile that you've all been doing. You won't do those anymore. That all goes right on your garden. It's the ugliest place in your garden. If you're actually turning it, it's a lot of hard work. Few people do, but if you are turning it, it's a lot of hard work. And it's the best dirt you own underneath it that you never garden. Well, now all your garden dirt's going to be just like the dirt underneath that compost pile. Because that's what you're going to do. Now here's another story, another holy grail of organic gardening I want to shoot down. I've already destroyed cultivation. I'm going to destroy compost piles. If you're actually turning a compost pile, an interesting thing happens. The nitrate that plants use in organic matter generally comes from a protein. And as that protein is attacked by one particular kind of bacteria, it becomes an ammonia. And then it's attacked by another type of bacteria, and it becomes a nitrite. And then it's attacked one more time and becomes a nitrate. Oh goody, plant food, finally. Well, there's another bacteria involved in it, and I don't know which one, or it's a side process of one of those bacteria, I'm not sure. But in one of those mid stages, the nitrogen is just that, nitrogen. And if you remember your chemistry, the chemical state of nitrogen is gaseous. It's about what's 60% of our atmosphere is what's carrying my sound waves. Okay, so I got all this active stuff going on, and this nitrogen's happening in this pile all this time. And every so often I'm out there just turning away, working my tail end off.
You let me guess.
And all that gas floats out. You'll lose 40 to 70% of your raw value to excessive gasification because you turned your compost pile like they taught you to do. Nasty people. They're hooked on it. They got tumblers. Think about the tumbler. You spin that thing every day. What chance have you got? The nitrogen's gone. Stuff looks pretty. Not worth too much, but it looks pretty. You know. So you're working harder and getting less. I don't like that. It's kind of like tilling. You're working harder, you're getting less. I don't like that. So I compost in place. And I don't do compost piles anymore. I think they're silly. You know? Now, when Robert Rodale, he's the one that developed that accelerated system, you know, did that, well, they hadn't studied that all the way through. And then we got hooked on it. You know, it's just like cultivation. We cultivate because. Well, it's because there's a whole industry that supports our extension agencies that make cultivation equipment. But there isn't a person that's got a horticulture degree or an agricultural degree that won't tell you what I just told you about soil structure isn't the truth. They'll all go, yeah. You know, well, why do we cultivate? Because. Because. I'm sorry, I can't do
Because
it.
there's commercials.
My question is, so you actually grow organic garden that we
And-
could purchase and you
and-
deliver,
Yeah, produce and perennials.
but you also do the lawn care,
The lawn applications.
which lawn
Yeah, there's
applications.
only 2 a year. We're only
And
out
then-
twice a year.
Yeah.
But, okay, and those are really the two things that you do?
Those are our two primary
Okay,
focuses. Yes,
okay.
we're just now starting to take on a few landscape contracts,
Okay,
which you probably will have to be an insider with me. I only go out and work on landscapes for people
Yeah.
who have my organic program going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
You know, we're not staffed high. I finally have a foreman now. I have a full-time, well, not a full-time, but a permanent helper. And I don't go out and do spreading anymore. Yay. This will be the first year that I won't do them all. I'll probably go out a little bit this spring just to get his memory back, but I trained him last fall. And so I finally have a field crew doing my applications.
Or you can purchase and put it on your lawn yourself?
Yes, we have it
Okay.
either delivered, picked up, or applied, any
Okay.
way you want it.
Okay.
All that's available. And however you get it, I customize your formula for your yard for you. I tell you what you get. I'm very, very transparent on that. Don't ask me how I figured it out.
So you do a lawn analysis first?
No, I don't, but if
Soil
we get
analysis.
past the third application, which would be the growing season of the second year, and I'm not happy, you're not happy, we're pulling cores and sending it in to a private lab so I can get a lot more information than I would get from the extension service, because basically there's gonna be an imbalance there. And I only started that in the last 3 years because I finally got to go to a seminar that was hosted by a PhD in soil science professor from Rutgers. The first half hour of his presentation was what you heard me tell you all about fiber and structure and all that good stuff, and about, you know, decomposition. Oh, I was kind of in heaven at first, you know. And then, boy, he pulled the top stops out, and I'm going, oh, that's why her lawn didn't work. Oh, and that's why her lawn didn't work, you know. But you got to pull the soil sample and the test to find out. $61 test. It's not too bad. It takes me about 2 to 2.5 hours to sit down and figure out the numbers for you. So at $61, that's not too bad at all. But we're more than willing to do that. We only do it though if, you know, covering the normal basis doesn't do it. And I promise you, after I drop down low, normal basis do it. He's got a tiny little front yard, about 2,500 square foot. He's getting 150 pounds of application on his first application. If it was 10,000 square foot, on average, our first application for 10,000 square feet is 500 pounds. So, now that's 6, 7, 8 years of conventional fertilizer, low bloom years in weight.
Wow.
Your average, my formulas for chemical application is 3 pounds to 4 pounds of nitrogen a year spread out over however many steps that you choose. 4, 5, 6 to 8 steps. So 3 to 4 pounds of nitrogen is all that.
What's the basic carrier weight though? Because you don't just have raw nitrogen.
No. You have to do, it's a formula that I have. It depends on what product you're putting on. You got fertilizer with pre-emergent fertilizer with herbicide, fertilizer just by itself, you got fertilizer with ironite. I mean, you got,
But if that was all granular, how much would it weigh for a year?
it was all granular for a couple hundred pounds.
About 100 pounds, yeah. My first one for the year on a 10,000 square foot is 2.5 times that.